Comrades, we do apologize for the late start. We want to welcome you to the St. Philip North Branch meeting this evening. I'm going to first ask Pastor Jordan to say the prayer to start the meeting.
Can you stand, please? Father, we take this time to reverence your presence and to thank you for life. Thank you for this evening. Thank you for this time. We're in this branch in the St. Philip North and the Democratic Party can gather together to discuss, to look ahead, to unify and to focus so they can strategically move ahead as a strong force together. We pray, God, that your guidance will be with this branch. We pray that the unifying force within this branch will be stronger. We pray for that respect and love and that togetherness will be experiential, not something just wishful. We submit our nation into your hands, and we know, Lord, that your presence and your intervention is very much needed. We ask that you will keep your hands upon our lives and you will continue to guide this meeting and may it be profitable. And all that is said and done will be focused on making this branch better and also the health of the Democratic Party and by extension the nation eventually. We ask all this in the wonderful name of your Son Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Thanks to Pastor Jordan for saying the prayer. This evening, I want to welcome you again to the St. Philip North Branch meeting. We're going to have 4 dynamic speakers. We're going to start off with a speaker who is from St. Michael South. He is the candidate of that branch. He's an educator also, and he's also a spokesperson, Mr. Nathaniel Boyce.
Thank you, Janine. First, I'd like to thank the St. Philip North Branch for having me this evening. I hope I am starting with batting, so I hope I can do a good job. Before I begin, though, for the further sad news, I just want to say a very short tribute to Clarke Chase. Clarke Chase was a devoted and passionate supporter of the Democratic Party. A man whose loyalty was unwavering, his commitment to the cause went beyond words. He gave up his time and talents freely, always ready to lend a hand in any way possible. Clarke's presence was a constant source of strength for the party, whether through his guidance, support, or encouragement. Above all, he deeply believed in the importance of unity and the DLP's potential to govern once again. His dedication and selflessness left an indelible mark on all those around him, and his spirit of service will always be remembered. Clarke Chase was truly a man who embodied the very values he championed. Just wanted to say it very short. I'll first start off with these words. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. Dr. Martin Luther King. I'll first have a look at just technology. I have a few minutes, so I'll try to see if we can get in as much as I can. Now we realized that we have an online search of services where we can find, we all are in a position where we can use our credit cards, we use net, we do financial banking on a day-to-day basis. Some of us work in companies where we have to transact business through the internet. And a few months ago, well, it seemed that by now, I would have asked the question of the minister at that time to let us know what actually is happening. But at that time we had about 429 government agencies that were compromised. We had the court, we had education, hospital, police, much more other services and relates to government services that were compromised. We had several attacks. Now, I asked a question in terms of the cybersecurity framework, where what is in place. Also, we had the professionals coming out and speaking that the government is not doing enough, to put things in place. Also, if they are, in terms of the money that's being spent, because obviously, if they're spending money to have this cybersecurity, have whatever is in place, it's always not good enough. And I think sometimes we should take the help from those experts who may lend a hand. Okay? Now, we had a situation where, in terms of transparency disclosure, where they said some things. The Honorable Marshall Henry, she came on, she said a few things, but still, we were still in the dark. And I remember I received, but someone, I know, because obviously brought another agency, this was real thing, this is real life situation that actually happened where it says, we are ready to let you know about the recent cyber incident at the Barbados Revenue Authority. Our experience that we have affected your personal data. Malicious cyber criminals stole personal information and transactional data in September. Cyber attack. The stolen information related to the vehicle registration and visitor permits. We also believe that these types of personal data that may have been stolen in the incident includes transaction information, names, email addresses, phone numbers, proof of address, records, government issue picture identification, basic financial information. Okay? Now, there's no certain that all or most of these kinds of personal data involved will relate to this specific incident. So, I know multiple persons received this email, not everybody. And there is truth in that majority of our information went out on the black web. And to this day, we don't know what exactly went out. Or you know, those professions are able to go and see what was on sale. You know, the millions of dollars that they were asking for. And the government has failed where they have not been that transparent with us, the people of Barbados. And I believe going forward to probably at present, we still have these several attacks happening here in this country. Now, we obviously are hoping that any government establish, dialogue with the population to let them know what's going on. Because you have situations where obviously, let's say you work in a hospital and your funds, medical funds, get into the wrong hands, are exposed. You have a situation obviously addresses, the person can have access to know where you live. Obviously bank information, where persons who have your passwords and other information, they can target you. And obviously I remember I watched a picture, it was a true story where an old lady, she would have, her passwords, her information was stolen, and she had about $1 million or stolen it. It was whipped up. And obviously she took that day to heart, and she took her own life. Alright? Now, we rely on these vital situations where, and also some of these institutions where we have the healthcare, we have public safety, which is the police force, we have the management police force, so it falls sensitive information to get in the wrong hands, financial services, and more. Now, as we're speaking on technology a bit, I will speak a little bit on education where, for instance, when we had EduTech, and it was a good idea, but we had a situation where everybody put the cart before the horse, and we had the equipment, had laptops, but we had no connectivity in schools. So we had the laptops, but obviously going forward, in terms of having the infrastructure in place, was not there. But at present, we have a little reverse in that some schools we still having some situations where you don't have proper connectivity, and where we have laptops now, but the situation is that some of these laptops are not functioning or they can't be used. And you're pushed into a situation where you have to try to invest in technology, because as we see going across the board, we have no choice where, for instance, before scheme books were actually a physical document, now we're online. So if you not have connectivity, to have access to the program, you can't do your work. And this is happening across some of the schools that we see. In hospitals where we have old technology too, we have borrowed so much money, a lot of money. I believe we're probably in debt going from progress probably 6 point something, probably 7.5 or so billion dollars US. We're borrowing all this money and we can't see where the money is going. And obviously investing in technology, because we have a situation whereby in terms of looking at innovation going forward, where we are going to see across the board AI being used, whether it be technology being used in restaurants, in agriculture, okay, having schools, the healthcare system. Okay. So we want to make sure that going forward that we have things in place and the government is doing what it's supposed to do as it relates to preparing us for the future of our society. Now, I just want to touch a little bit on sports. And my background obviously is a little track and field, but I believe I can do justice when it relates to cricket and football and netball, those places where we have a situation where these sporting activities were being left out. When I say left out, I mean that not much is being done. We have a situation where we have a men, which I call normally say they have diabetes, and where the whole body is sick. The body is in a chronic state where we have the levels of competence across the board. Incompetence, I should say, is very high. We have a situation whereby the organs were failed, the abdomen have been damaged, and we have the symptoms where these persons in that abdomen refer to normally having, we know these situations where we have diabetes, where we know the symptoms can be thirstiness, hungry, and where the vision is blurred. You can also see that this abdomen is tired, and it becomes numb to the interest of what's happening to the people of Barbados at this point. Now, I hope that going forward, Barbados will be able to give them the treatment that they deserve in that 10 cups. Right? Now, we see also too, where we have individuals, where we have schools, we have other sporting organizations, they are in dire need of some help. Just recently, I was down in my constituency, and the pastor, where we have several young ladies who are trying to obviously be involved in something community-wise, where the courts don't have adequate lighting for these individuals, so we see a certain time obviously they have to stop. Now let's start off with looking at the financial support for the national sports organizations of the AAB, right? Amateur athletics. The Athletics Association of Barbados, where we know government normally will reject over 50%, and they have to look for the other 50%, especially when it comes to Clarke. Now, all as anybody knows that we have to go searching for any sponsorship. It can be very hard because always at the end of the day, any organization is looking to get back something in return. Now, always going forward to whether you do fundraising or whatever, it can be very difficult. And the government should be putting a little bit more into athletics, because if you look across the board, even the recently concluded the Olympics, where we had an island, St. Lucia, producing a world-class athlete. And over the years, we only had, I think we had Debbie Thompson, and then we had Shanae Williams. And we don't really have anything ready to boast. I mean, for a country that's borrowed so much money, and we're looking to go forward and push our citizens forward, and they say they invest in our youth, I don't think you can see it happening where you have facilities that have been run down. I know that the league is an indoor facility there for cricket, but I know they were promising that we should have these other facilities for cricket across the board. I know football, they have their turf played by the gymnasium. And once again, track and field, which have been lacking for a while. where we don't have a stadium. There's a promise, we saw these pictures, whatever, of this heist, on the art stadium. And nothing has been done. Right? So we rely on external funding, government rely on external funding, but at some point that may be a thing of the past. So I think that going forward, obviously, any government should be looking to invest in sports as it relates to our future. Now, obviously, development and infrastructure, we can hope to go forward. Produce, it's not going to be easy. We have situations where I believe that some secondary schools will have the area of pasture where we can probably utilize and trying to get away, not that we want to get away completely, but put in a track, having a track, maybe a 200 track, where we can help just because of something needed. Now, obviously, implementation of the national sports policy. Obviously, this needs to be done. Government, and we're looking obviously to transport sports here in Barbados. We're sitting down with those stakeholders, and hopefully, we can come up with something where there's some investing from corporate Barbados. We can see our policies actually come to fruition and making some way. Now, we want to see the way to sports development and tourism also as well. Now, the Caribbean hotel and tourism industry, right, has called for increased injection. We have investment in sports development, and from my one, I believe sports tourism is something going forward that we can look for. Once we have the stadium, we're still there at the beginning of that. But going forward, we can look to obviously have our athletes to get a little more exposure, not just on we have NAPSAC or BSAC, and then that's it. Having more events locally and also regionally and then internationally, right? Where we have some commitment to, we'll be getting the same organizations on board to help us to go forward. Now, obviously, there was a lot of unfulfilled promises from this administration, where obviously the sport and fraternity was looking forward to, that when government changed, that all these things would receive fruition, and not much is happening. Like I said, they borrowed so much money. What these states are happening, all right? Nothing. It's not going to happen at this point in time. Personally, I probably blame COVID. Yes, COVID happened, but a lot of other countries have bounced back from COVID, whether it's tourism-wise, sport-wise. So I don't see why it should have any excuse going forward at this point in time. Yes. So we can't blame COVID anymore. Okay? Now, obviously, there are changing needs in our society, and let it be technology or sports going forward. And I believe going forward, we have some plans, and we've been taking for policy going forward, where the Democratic Labour Party, we hope to do more, let it be in industries, also innovation, science and technology, and sports. Now, we're not saying that it's something easy, but we have not been seeing anything going forward from this administration. Now, as it relates to the challenges that we have in sport in Barbados and in the Caribbean, well, we try to produce some world-class athletes. As mentioned over there, we've had some other athletes along the way, Denan Louis, on the way of scholarship. But these athletes, obviously, at some point in time, because of the system to be in place, they formed themselves, I saw recently a video of Denan Louis, and they didn't say much, but we have high expectations for him. And this is across the board in schools. We have athletes, young people who have the talent, and it's not being utilized as it should, or they're not getting the help as it should. Unless you have parents who obviously able to join the club and probably able to help you to get into a university overseas, what's not, even if on scholarship, sometimes you go on a scholarship and you find that you get to where, unless you're really doing well, nobody takes an interest in you. So I just want to say my 2 cents worth as it relates to technology and sports. I didn't want to go too much into it. Although they're not my portfolios, sports, I do have a love for it, and I probably seeing me along with that person at Montgomery doing a little bit more as it relates to sports in Barbados. All right? So at this point in time, I'd like to thank you.
We want to thank Comrade Nathaniel Boyce for sharing with us. I just want to remind you that to support him, he is the candidate for St. Michael South. I want to also acknowledge the presence of Vice President Felicia Lou John, acknowledging the presence as well of Senator Ryan Walters and the City of I want to mention that today is the anniversary of the crossing of the Florida North Turn, and on the 13th, it will be for Senator Walters as well. But for becoming an opposition senator. Okay, so moving right along I want to acknowledge the General Secretary. Okay, so moving along, I would like to our Rhonda Rose has entered. Okay, our next speaker this evening will be a cyclist regionally and internationally. He is an attorney at law, the spokesperson on community development and social welfare, Mr. Simon Clarke.
Good evening, St. Philip North. Good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
First, I want to thank Madam Chairperson and the members of St. Philip North branch for inviting me to say a few words this evening. Madam Chairperson, I thank you and I thank your branch. Violent crimes have created an unprecedented level of discomfort in our communities. Gun crimes in Barbados are at an all-time high. Gun crimes in Barbados are at an all-time high. Yet, when I opened the newspaper this morning, I saw the minister responsible for crime, Corey, stating that the average person in Barbados does not understand what is going on. And he even pointed fingers to the media. But if the average person doesn't know what is going on, he needs to tell us what is going on. That is his responsibility and his duty. But I'm an average person. I see myself as an average person. And I will tell him what I understand what is going on. And what we, the Democratic Labour Party, understand what is going on. Minister Lane rejected speculations that the initial gang truce had failed. He rejected that. Mr. Lane stated, and I want to quote him, don't want to misquote him, he said the surge in gun violence recently may be linked to a new set of feuding gangs. I want to repeat that because I want you all to understand that. He said the surge in gun violence recently may be linked to a new set of feuding gangs. What do we take of that? That is telling us, Barbados, that there are new gangs in Barbados today. That he bought new gangs in Barbados today. He spent taxpayers' money buying peace. He created gangs in Barbados today. That's what we understand as the Democratic Labour Party. I'm not finished with Minister Lane as yet. I'm not finished with Minister Lane as yet. Minister Lane, we understand what is really going on in Barbados. We understand that there are 8 murders for the year coming at the backing of 50 murders. We understand that you are spending the taxpayers' money buying peace. We understand that there is a troubling increase in violence and that you have failed miserably as the minister. We understand that you are not understanding what you're supposed to do. We understand that in the Democratic Labour Party. And you know what jumped out at me this morning? Minister Lane is speaking about a second accord. A second accord. Because according to him, he said that the first accord was successful. So now there's a second accord. There will soon be a third accord. There will soon be a fourth accord. There will soon be a fifth accord. And we can go on and on and on. So what he's telling us is that these young men that are in schools have a career, that they have a career in crime. Ooh. That's what he's telling us. And we'll touch on the education issue, because you know that we are saying, we don't know when we're gathering, but we'll touch on that there later. But Mr. Lane is telling us, or he wants us to understand, because we are the average person, so we don't understand. He wants us to understand that there is a second accord. So what he's asking us to know is to put taxpayers' money into this second accord. Of course. That's what he's asking us to do. Put the taxpayers' money into the second accord. Yet the police is suffering in Barbados, and they are to serve and protect. Minister Lane, we, the Democratic Labour Party, we are advocating for safer communities. We are advocating for a safer Barbados. We see our communities as paramount. We see our communities as paramount. We need to be safe in Merritt, right, Mr. Griffith? We need to be safe in Bayfield, right, Sharon? We need to be safe in Church Village, correct, Lana? We need to be safe in St. Philip North. We need to be safe in St. Philip. We need to be safe in Barbados. Only recently last night, there were 2 gun robberies in St. Philip. The first in Marshfield, and then the second at the gas station in Curtains. The second major incident this year. The second major incident. Those people were robbed at gunpoint last night in Curtains gas station, and the car was recovered later on in Harlington. This is what we are faced with. Yet he's going to tell us that the troops was successful. Yet I saw a newspaper with some young men asking for more money on the front page. I did. Really, the Democratic Party, we do not advocate for that. We do not advocate for such behaviors. We need a safer community. I will advocate for a safer community. I am a spokesperson for community development, and I will advocate for a safer community. Now, according to him, there's a second accord. So that means that we are seeing more gangs evolving in Barbados. So I joined with the leader of opposition and the political leader of the Democratic Party, the Honorable Ralph Torrey, in asking this government to introduce the anti-gang legislation. This will detect for us who are the gang leaders, who are the gang members, who performs acts as a condition for membership, who intimidate persons, who promote a gang, who finance these gangs, who direct these gangs, and who gain benefit for himself or another. And when I spoke about gaining benefit for himself or another, I was briefly there looking at the legislation from Trinidad. But I only learned recently that we also have female gang leaders in Barbados. And I will say no more on that. We have female gang leaders in Barbados. I will say no more on that. Crime is a political issue. Our government has a responsibility. And we want them to take that responsibility serious. Take that responsibility seriously. You know we have an Attorney General that's saying nothing. He's already in retirement. Right, Ms. Dijon? He's already in retirement. Yes, he's already in retirement. Attorney General doing nothing. The Minister of State, he could have gone over the Saints. Minister of State, he could have gone over the Saints. Yes. And Darby Duncan carried on too, because all I heard he said, went to paper with no sense about a comrade of ours. No sense. He can go along too. Now, I want to touch a bit in relation to these crimes and education. Violent crimes are now impacting the schools in Barbados. Right, Mr. Shepherd? Teachers are facing physical assaults and threats. In fact, the president of the Barbados Union of Teachers stated that some institutions are being labeled as danger zones. That is the stage that we are in Barbados now. Where we have Mr. Lovell saying that some institutions are labeled as danger zones. You know, we understand that secondary school teachers are being attacked. We understand that in some instances, these secondary school teachers have to receive medical assistance. We understand that teachers are putting their lives at risk daily. And in some circumstances, are very stressful at work. That's what the teachers are faced with now. And we, the Democratic Labour Party, understand. I keep saying that we understand because remember that Mr. Lane said that we don't understand. So we understand that it's not only an issue in schools, but it's now a national issue. We're now faced with a national issue. We have children going to school gambling every day on the corridors. That's what teachers have to be stressing out themselves with every day. As I said earlier, we know that the gathering is now in St. Peter. And I saw a clip with the Minister of Labour addressing the students at All Saints School, speaking about the success of the late Prime Minister, the Right Honourable, going after. And I applaud him for that. However, I want you to take a trip down with Courage and Paris School. That's where you need him to go to address the teachers down there. It is alleged that teachers at that secondary school, that there were 3 different instances for the year since the school term started. 3 different instances. One as recent as last Monday, where we had a senior boy at that school coughing about a teacher all about her body. Yes, that was in the public. We also had an issue where a student threatened to bust a teacher's head because she was video cameraing a violent activity between himself and another boy. We also had a teacher that had to defend himself from a student swinging a stool at her head. That is what we are faced with at Courage and Paris. So I'm asking the Minister of Labour to take a trip down there. What is that? We gathering. Take a trip down there. Make it worse. We understand that there were substitute teachers down there. And even the substitute teachers are calling in sick. They're calling in sick. They're stressful. They're not safe. Going to school teaching is unpredictable. Anything can happen. That's what we are faced with in Barbados. I also heard about an incident at the Leicester-Vaughan School. That's correct, Ms. Dijon? Another attack at Leicester-Vaughan School. We are faced with a situation where teachers are becoming frustrated. Frustrated because they're getting the impression that nothing is being done. And they are unequivocally correct. Nothing is being done. Nothing. We are faced with the fact that one will have to reconsider the teaching profession if this maintains. Who will teach the children? Who will? The DLP, the Democratic Labour Party, we will not tolerate any violence in any form against any teacher in any school. We, the Democratic Labour Party, we are committed to providing a safe environment for those teachers to effectively carry out their duties. That's what we are committed to. I am suggesting that we need a cultural reset. We are in dire need of a cultural reset in Barbados. A society with a culture where we respect the sanctity of life, where we will be polite to each other, where we will uphold moral values, and where we respect and uphold the law. We need a cultural reset. Our community centers are meant to be welcoming environments for individuals and groups to engage in social, economic, and recreational pursuits. Yet we have 27 constituencies in 27 community centers in Barbados that are not being utilized. Yes. Sending out an ad for volunteers. If they were effectively working, there would be no need to send out an ad for volunteers. You're not working. Can we not utilize these community centers for homework facilities, for mentoring people, for training people, for educating people? Over 1,000 applicants applied to the SJPI, and only 689 were admitted. Can we not utilize these community centers to help these people? Do we have to turn around these people? No, I'm saying we need to utilize the community centers. And as always say this, the Barbados Labour Party have systematically undermined community centers and community development efforts in Barbados. They closed the department in 1984, and it was only reopened by the Right Honorable Barbados, his party in 1986. Then again, Mr. Inniss, under the Thompson-led administration in 2008, there were summer camp initiatives. And once again, it was closed down in 2018. All the constituency councils, that is correct, Mr. Inniss. Every effort to develop communities in Barbados, the Barbados Labour Party always shutting down. That is not correct. We understand, we understand again. We understand the need to develop the communities. We do. The social issues are within the communities. And it's very concerning. I am suggesting that we go to the community members and we try to understand their existing concerns. We need to go to them. We go to them and we understand their existing concerns. That is very, very, very important. When we understand their existing concerns, then we can formulate an action plan to develop communities. That is the only way it can be done effectively. I repeat that again. We need to go to the community members, understand their existing concerns, and then create an action plan to address the issues in the communities. And of course, effective community development requires collaboration and partnership between a variety of stakeholders, including the same community members, NGOs, private sector businesses, and of course, the government, who is always absent. I propose that we look at these suggestions and we look at them immediately. We need to look at these suggestions immediately. We need to put our brains together. I want to touch a bit on the Barbados Police Service. And I must say that the Barbados Police Service plays an important role and a vital role in the criminal justice system in Barbados. And I want you to join with me in applauding them. I want you to join them. However, I just want to raise a couple issues, because I know time is permitted, but I just want to raise a couple issues about the Barbados Police Service. The first one, we see daily a police vehicle patrolling with a driver, and sometimes he's accompanied with 2 other police officers. We know that policing is a high-risk job. It is a high-risk job. And only the driver of that vehicle is insured. Those other 2 occupants, those other 2 police officers are not insured. This is 2025. We are asking the government to change that. This is 2025 and those 2 accompanying officers are not insured. And it gets worse. It gets worse because if the police have a reason to pick up a suspect or an accused, that person is insured. That person is insured, but the 2 police officers that accompany are not insured. We are asking to please change that. We are asking the Barbados Labour Party to please change that. This is what the police is faced with. Yes. Nonsense. The police at Black Rock Police Station was moved to the post office in Eagle Hall. Yes? But I want you all to know that the police have to work at Eagle Hall Police Station. When works are being carried out. Yes, that's what the police is doing. Yes, work being carried out, but yet the police still have to be working in those environments. As Janice said earlier, I'm an attorney at law in profession, and I visit the police station on a daily basis. To have private communication pursuant to the Constitution with my client, rather be a suspect and accused. And from the time I enter some of these police stations, I am smelling mold. And it gets so bad that I don't even go into the consultation or the interview room no more. And this is what the police are faced with. Yet we are putting money in the criminals' pockets. We are putting money in the criminals' pockets. Talk about truth, and then we have a second card. This is what we are faced with. It needs to stop. Is this fair to the police officers? No. I'm saying no. Another issue. We have a detective constable. Remember what I say, a detective constable in Barbados making more money now than a station sergeant in uniform. You believe that? We have a detective constable in Barbados making more money than a station sergeant police in uniform. Is that fair? Cannot be fair. Yes, I can explain it. It is the tariffs and the allowances that the detective constable is getting that boosting up their money, and the station sergeant in uniform who have to manage the station on a daily basis is not receiving it. Sometimes they give out uniforms for the police in uniform. I just met a police there at St. Catherine's, where the juniors are playing cricket. And she told me that after 6 months, they not give her uniform. They can't take her, unfortunately. So she knows how to go and get it tailored. That cannot be fair. That money coming out of her pocket, the salary is already low. And that money coming out of her pocket can't be fair. We need to treat the police properly. They are there to serve and protect. We need to respect the police in Barbados. And we, the Democratic Labour Party, is going to make sure that the police is respected in Barbados. Another issue I have with the police is that when you're recruiting, the police have to take money out of that small salary to pay for their meals while they're recruiting. They have to pay for breakfast, they have to pay for lunch, they have to pay for dinner. Now how we are going to attract proper policemen to the force? If a man has to pay a mortgage, if he has to pay an existing loan, or for his vehicle, or to send school their children, how can they survive? We are asking this government to fully subsidize and to pay for those meals in full while those police are recruiting for that 6 months. We are asking for a fair chance for police to gain promotion in this country. We are asking for a fair chance for an officer to move from constable right up to sergeant, to station sergeant, to inspector, to ASP, and so on. We are asking for that. We need a fair chance of promotion. We, the Democratic Labour Party, will advocate for the police in the Barbados Police Service. I want to touch a bit on the travel advisory, because I spoke about it at the Young Democrats meeting, where we are saying out on the website of the UK government and the Canada government that there are violent crime, including gun violence, and an increase over the few years in Barbados. Incidents of armed robbery, sexual assault, gang-related shootings, and murders have occurred. Recently, I saw the governor of the central bank. He came out and he said that will affect the economy. It will affect the economy. We heavily depend on tourism, and it will affect the economy. We can do better. We need to wrestle this crime to the ground. You know, it seems like it's easier for the Prime Minister to speak on the international stage rather than have a conversation or to converse with the members of Barbados and citizens of Barbados. She's very, very quick in relation to this crime crisis. Very quick. And the AG who's responsible is saying nothing as well. He's saying nothing. We're asking them to please take crime serious in Barbados. Let us rebuild the communities in Barbados, safer communities. That is paramount to the Democratic Labour Party. And I will wrap up now, Chairperson. We, the Democratic Labour Party, honest voices for the people. And I must say, Madam Chairperson, that I'm committed to helping the St. Philip branch, North Branch, in any way that I can. And I'm committed to helping the Democratic Labour Party in any way that I can. I want to thank you all for listening to me this evening, and I look forward to hear from my fellow comrades as we go forward in the evening.
I want to thank Comrade Samuel Clarke, a son of the son of St. Philip. I would like to announce at this time that, so put it in your calendar early, the St. Philip North Branch will be holding their next meeting on March 2nd. Details will follow quite soon. And we will be hosting a youth mental health workshop on March 15th. And details will follow as well. You will see the posters out for that one as well. In talking about youth, it gives me pleasure to introduce this next gentleman. He is a member of the Young Democrats, an educator, youth practitioner, and most recently in the newspaper they were calling him a community champion, Mr. Quincy Jones.
Blessed good evening Good evening. St. Philip Hawk, man. I was always told that the wise men come from St. Philip. From the east, sorry. But I recognize that cold winds also come from the east. You can interpret that in how you want to interpret it. But a blessed good evening, and thank you to St. Philip North branch, Janine and the entire branch, for inviting me here to St. Philip, and also to the comrades on the head table. I will try my best as a youngster at the table, or young in heart, to try to deliver something that is burning me over these last couple of days. Now, we know that Barbados is a nation with rich and complex history. And it has always been a beacon of parliamentarian democracy in the Caribbean. And since independence, we can all agree that the island has experienced several democratic milestones, including peaceful transition of power from Prime Minister to Prime Minister, we could agree to that. Regular elections, or sometimes too regular. The evolution of political parties such as the Democratic Labour Party that reflects a wider social and economic and ideological landscape. Now, yet the journey is too far from complete, and Barbados has long prided itself on a robust parliamentarian democracy that have evolved around the elitist system to be one where citizens have a voice. And over the years, the political engagement has been high, with Barbadians actively participating in national elections and public discourse. However, emerging issues in the political landscape have caused some of us to ask a troubling question. Is politics becoming irrelevant in our country? Is politics becoming irrelevant in our country? This question does not suggest that governments and policymakers no longer matter, but instead it reflects the growing concerns about whether traditional politics effectively addresses the people's needs and aspirations. Barbadians, when canvassing, are said that they are frustrated and angry with politics and politicians. Is that a fact? Yes. Barbadians are no longer seeing the importance of a vote, only the money to give me the vote. Is that a fact? Yes. And watchmen too. I want to watch me today. Barbadians see politics as a self-interest now and not a people's interest any longer. Is that a fact? Yes. Barbadians are now dealing with their matters in their own hands, even in crime, because now it is a survival of the fittest. Is that a fact? Yes. And politics is now becoming what is in it for me, and not what is in it for our community and our nation of Barbados. Is that a fact? Yes. Now, several factors contribute to the growing sentiments of this political nightmare that becoming a political pillow. And I asked the question in this week, what are these things that people are so frustrated about in politics and politicians? That we as the Democratic Labour Party need to do better, and do better as we form the next government of Barbados. One, the declining public trust in politicians and political institutions. One of the most significant challenges facing modern politics in Barbados is the erosion of trust. It's the erosion of what? Trust. Elected officials and political institutions. It's not the covenant of hope. It's a covenant of what? Trust. And over the years, we are hearing allegations of corruption and inefficiency in the government and political patronage that weaken the public confidence in the governance of this country.
So I decided to take a look on this week's paper, the entire week. So I prepared for this week. I said, I'm going to look in the paper, not based on what I want to do, or I want to say, but based on what the people are saying. So imagine, in St. Lucie, they gather in St. Lucie, but brown water is still pouring out of the taps of St. Lucie. But yet they tell me that we have to gather. In the parish of St. Peter, imagine that they had a beautiful regathering ceremony yesterday. But next door to it was the mouth of the river that is covered by the deposit of the sand that's not allowing the river banks of the water to flow through the canal. But yet they tell you to what? Gather. Gather this, gather that. Let us continue to what? Gather. Imagine our teachers, and I agree with you, are threatened and attacked. School violence is on a massive high. Absenteeism in the teachers is at a high. And let me add to this, school meals lines are long in secondary schools now. And yet they tell me to what? Gather. Imagine the poultry prices set to rise, and the egg supply challenges are going to impact the agriculture sector. But yet they tell me to what? Imagine we have new buses that they're all excited about. Oh, I love them sometimes. But yet, we have people in the country still cannot get a bus or have to wait an hour or an hour and a half. But yet they tell me to walk. Imagine we have seen in the paper this week boasting of a 4% GDP and better yet gross domestic product. But yet our foreign reserve debt is growing higher and higher and higher. But yet they tell you to walk. But the pie in the sky for me was in today's back page. And on page 11 of the Barbados Labour Party Manifesto 2022, because I have to be careful what I say. In law, you always have to be careful. And then I quote from the manifesto of page 11, Manifesto 2022. We have already started 1,100 homes. Never say they finish. They say we have what? Started. I love the English language, you know. Of the home ownership program. And the opportunities is made available with our HOPE program. If re-elected, we will take it to an entirely new level and make 10,000 new homes for Bajans. Then, on the 1st of February 2025, a certain minister of housing said we can accommodate over 6,000 houses in St. Lucie. 6,500. Let me get the numbers right. We can calculate, because the mass don't mass over there. Then, the 19th of December 2024, they said by the same minister that past 3 years, that's over the 1,100 houses that they said they created. He said only 1,337 houses. So he's gone past what the manifesto had promised in the book. Wow. And have constructed due to challenges. They have problems constructed due to challenges with labor, weather, land acquisition, and shipping delays. Then we come back to April 15, 2023. And he said we intend to build 2,000 houses the financial year. But only 900 was built in 2022. So is it 900, 1,100, or 1,337? 346. But I said that the housing issue is becoming like a political panel because the mass ain't massing, but yet they tell me to what? Yeah. So I decided to ask some students,
What do you think regathering means? At first, farmer tell me, and I couldn't say it better. He said, regathering, or better yet, gather means the great assembly time is here for election readiness. The great assembly, the gather time is here for what? Election readiness. That's from the first farmer. The children watching politics, you know. They are watching what? Politics and politicians. So the next topic I would say that's another problem is a shift from ideology to personalities. Historically, politics in Barbados is driven by strong ideological debates between parties. You remember those good old days? Where clear distinction between the political platforms was very distinct. However, contemporary politics now seems to be start to shift towards personality-driven campaigns. Who got who, and who like who, and who have, I don't know. But they're not focusing on real debates on the national stage. Let us have real debates on land access. Let's have real debates on education. Let's have real debates on the reconnecting of the heritage, where we're now taking up the heritage spot of Old Town, BDF, and now the Newton Burial Ground. Let us have these debates. But we all but what? Personalities in politics. And we're no longer talking about the people's interest, we're now talking about our self-interest. But yet they tell me to what? Yeah. And this has led to the perception that elections are less about national progress and more about which individual or party is better at political shifting. And if the electorate continues to see this happening, political parties are going to be vote, it can start to decline, and soon for now you'll have no one going to the poll. The third issue, the economic pressures and everyday survival. For many Barbadians, the pressing concern is not which party is in power, but how they will afford the next meal and pay the next bill or secure the stable employment. It's not about a carrot tank or the TKY that some of them were in. I can get to you as TKY. But that's another time and another day and another political meeting that anyone wants to invite me for. And it is about the rising living costs, the wage stagnation like in the tourism sector, and the economic uncertainties, and politics often takes a backseat to daily survival. You can't carry politics to the gas station. You can't carry politics to the supermarket. You can't carry politics anywhere. And we have to do what? The survival of the what? Fittest. Perhaps the question of politics signals a deeper question or a deeper issue. Does Barbados need a new governance model? We have to really sit down and think about it. Does Barbados need a new governance model? Citizens may no longer be satisfied with the traditional two-party system, where power shifts from between two dominant parties with little structural change. There's a growing discussion about whether Barbados should explore more participatory governance models, such as greater community involvement in policy making, more direct democracy initiatives, or the introduction of independent political movements that challenges the status quo. Politics cannot be afforded or become irrelevant in Barbados. It cannot be. We have to fight for the people and the voices of the people, and the Democratic Labour Party has to do it. So we have to re-engage the population, and there must be significant reforms, not little and by chance reforms, but significant reforms. We need to look at transparency and accountability. We need to look at campaign funding and funding laws towards campaigns, policy-driven leadership, engagement of our young people, economic and social reform and constitutional reform, not the half reform, but a real constitutional reform. Politics in Barbados is not inherently irrelevant, but it risks becoming so if it fails to evolve. If political leaders do not listen to the people's growing frustration, its governance does not become more inclusive and responsive, then citizens will continue to disengage. The challenge now is for politicians and institutions and the whole aspect of politics is to restore faith or trust to the democracy by making politics work for the people, not just for those in power. And I say in St. Michael Southeast that every drip of water adds to a cup, and every cup adds to a pond, river, or lake, or even sea. But we need all hands on deck. The entire Democratic Labour Party on deck. It's not whether we gather here or we gather over there, but it's one unity. And unity for me is unleashing the talent of our youth. Going towards the youth and going after them. Some of us are over a particular age, already don't know where we're going to cast our vote. But see, young people, it's no longer about family traditions no more. They're going to know what is in it for what? Yeah. So I begin by saying, and I close by saying, that Barbadians are frustrated and angry with politics, and that is a what? Fact. Barbadians no longer see the importance of a vote because that is a fact. Barbadians see politics as a self-interest, not a people's interest, because that is a fact. And politics is now becoming what is in it for me, and that is a fact. Thank you very much.
Our final speaker for the evening is a son of St. Philip North. Actually, don't mind that he would have ran in St. James South. He's the former Minister of International Business, Commerce, and Minister of Health, Mr. Donville Inniss.
Thank you very much, Janine. Good evening to all of you, family and friends here in St. Philip North. It's always great to be home. My neighbor stream was buried here in St. Philip North. Really sunny solid day, to be precise. And I have to be very careful what I say here this evening, how I behave myself, because lying behind me in Holy Trinity Graveyard is my father, John Knox. My sisters who are gathered here and tell you he's a very firm man, and one who you don't say certain things around. And if I never want to wander too far, over there in Bushy Park lies my mother, who despite her quiet disposition was a very strong and firm person. But such are a reflection of the kind of people we raise in St. Philip North. And I think you must be very proud of that. I thought I would speak this evening for a few minutes with you about why Barbados needs the Democratic Labour Party. And why the Democratic Labour Party must win the next election. I think sometimes we are too pessimistic. We have used these 230 laws to beat us down into the ground. We can't go any further down, we can only go up from here. And we must look for a hands high, and say it's time to shake off what has been keeping us down and move forward. I thought I should also start this evening with a quiet tribute, a reflection of a few stalwarts who passed on recently. Anderson Peanuts Morrison, who served as a minister in the Democratic Party, Memory beat Bruce St. John, who was a political giant in 1971. And he was a quiet, awesome hero who made an indelible contribution to politics of the DLP. I don't believe in both sides, and I think in a very quiet way, the Democratic Party must be eternally grateful for Peanuts Morrison and what he represents. He represented the soul of the Democratic Labour Party. A very humble individual. I had the honor as a young man of sitting with him in his house on Water, or even at George Street, listening to him and being guided by him. And I wish him safe journey as last earthly remains will go. Also, Arnie Walters, who served with me in the cabinet, a quiet giant, a man who towered over many of us, physically and intellectually. And he many, I'd say, can't repeat what happened in cabinet, but certainly for me, who was perceived as a young rebel, he was one who kept me rather calm occasionally and stopped me from saying certain things I perhaps would have regretted. But his knowledge of labor matters is unparalleled in Barbados. He's quietly there fighting not only for the workers, but certainly bringing perspective on behalf of the employers that brought a balance to the affairs of cabinet and international development. I also say fond farewell to Courtney Carrington. Many of you who are diehard Demps will know Courtney working in the city, slavishly for the Democratic Party, with all his grandeur and all his popular pageantry. But Courtney was a true son of the Democratic Party who fought fearlessly for us. And last but not least, Corey Chase, who passed on recently. I had the honor of just a few days ago, so last council meeting, watching Chase with this quiet demeanor, engaging many of us in the party, and reflecting on what we've come through, and certainly inspiring us to go forward. And therefore, I want to express condolences on my own behalf, my family, and those in St. Philip North, and for all of you here, really. I think the Democratic Party is poor for the passing of these individuals, but let us take comfort in knowing that they have made a great contribution to Barbados via the Democratic Party. And of course, in St. Philip North, we would have lost Ron Inniss recently, who not being a financial but key Democratic Party, served as a young man who made an immense contribution to Barbados Police Service, to Donville development in Barbados, and indeed to the wider community, and may his soul rest in peace. Having reflected on that now, back into the land fully of the living, I want to start by saying to you that I am so impressed with what happened here this evening. When we announced 15 candidates recently, it pained me to see ordinary members in the Democratic Party starting to dissect these individuals in a negative way. It takes a lot of, you know what, to get up and become a candidate, particularly in 2025. You will become a marked person. It takes a lot of inner strength, testicular fortitude, to be announced as a candidate for the Democratic Party. And I want fellow Dems to stop attacking these young men and women, and these men and women on the whole, and give them your full support. I listened to Nathaniel here this evening, knowledgeable of sports and technology and many other things. A young man who will bring home some Microsoft fast. We need to shift our attention on to the candidates on the other side and what they're not offering. The condition that they placed Barbados in now. And listen to people like Simon Clarke, who, even though he's not yet announced as a candidate, certainly exemplifies the fact that the Democratic Party is not short on solutions to the problems that confront this country. And I commend Simon for stepping up. And Quincy, what things here? It's a smooth man. But the man who I watched coming here on Democrats, he's been around the party for many, many years. Learning not just at the feet of Ronald Jones, another outstanding stalwart, but to listen to Quincy here this evening. You must be reassured that the Democratic Party is on the way up. We are invested in men and women that will take this party forward. Pedro Shepherd, who's sitting here, not just a great educator, but a person who works tirelessly in the Democratic Party General Secretary to keep the party together. We have Randall Rouse there, who's going to battle for us in St. Joseph as well. Thank you, Randall. I don't want to say any lawyers, but of course, Round Waters. Very well, all right. He's such a old guy. You listen to Ryan every week in Parliament as a senator. And you cannot help but be impressed. Barbados means good man to yourself. I'm sitting in the back and recognize her just by her great smile, supporting her. Felicia with John, and Felicia still here? She gone to St. Jude herself? Yeah. Or she gonna wait for me waiting down here? But the bottom line about it is that the Democrat Labour Party started to put together a formidable team, not just a winning election, but to run the affairs in this country. And I keep saying all the time, our party is 70 years old this year. No political party in the Caribbean has contributed more to the national development of the island than the Democrat Labour Party. So when you keep talking about 30 love and you beat them down, I say to people, okay, that's an electoral defeat. But remember, that happened both times when you had the lowest voter turnout in the history of Barbados. Which means that there are at least 70% of the voting population that did not vote for the current administration. Now what we have to do in the Democratic Party is to mobilize our people to come out and vote, come out and support us. But they're not going to do it just so. They want us to tell them what we're offering as an alternative. Gone are the days that people are going to vote for you because that's who your father and mother voted for. I have children. My children challenge me on political issues. I have to convince them, and it's still a little task, to support me in DLP. And so with all of you. But let us take comfort in the fact, as we listen here this evening, that the Democratic Party has solutions to the problems that confront us. So I say to younger candidates and the newer candidates, do not spend your time getting involved in personal attacks on the opposition side. We don't need that. Don't talk about people's bedroom business and make innuendos. Talk about the things that confront the average Barbadian. You're not an entertainer. We must be serious about the task that lies ahead. And go forth knowing full well that our 70 years of history in the political, social, and economic development of Barbados is unparalleled. When our birth and those formed the Democratic Labour Party in 1955, that was a time when the conservative elements that ran the affairs of this country looked at people like you and I and saw us as second-class citizens. Chattel. There was no chances of real upward mobility. A few slipped through, but the masses were still being kept down. And Barrow and those guys could not tolerate that anymore. The Camichula, the C.B. Smith, those men and women who had lands in and fought the Democratic Labour Party, they had the opportunity to do well. As a matter of fact, they were considered middle-class Barbadians. But they did not forget from whence they came, and they certainly did not want to go forward alone. So on that basis, they formed the Democratic Labour Party as a socialist democratic institution in this country. And a lot of people in recent times have been talking about the Democratic Labour Party constitution in terms of disciplining this body, disciplining that. They need to read the first few pages of the Constitution that tells you why the DLP is formed, what it stands for, its philosophical moorings, and as Quincy was alluding to just now, the ideology of the party. And these things cannot move. You know, my father was a fisherman, and when you drop the anchor, the water speaks big. The waves are there, they're rough. But once it's well anchored, it cannot move too far from its mooring. And such like is the behavior, or the behavior of a political party. In Barbados today now, we have a culture of personality in politics. We worship individuals. We don't talk about philosophy and ideology anymore. We talk about individuals. Who likes who and who has the most power, etc. But you must remember, it is a God above who is more powerful. So when Barbados came in 1961, I'm just talking a little bit of the history of the party because it's relevant. If you don't know from where you've come, you will not know where you're going to go or how you're going to get there. So take, for example, education. The Democratic Party said you must provide education to the masses. Gone must be the days when you could only go to school if your parents could afford a few shillings. When you went to school hungry and came home hungry. That is why we decided to build schools in Barbados, physical schools that were constructed around the island so that every child can get within walking distance of school. That is why we did the school needs program, 10 cents a child if they can be a big back then. So that at least every child can be guaranteed of a hot meal every day, Monday to Fridays at least. And that's why we created a syllabus or supply in the school system to uplift people. So Barra and Democratic Party moved Barbados from being a village to a modern society through its investment in education. Not just spending money, but it had an ideology that was based on an understanding of philosophy that made it clear that you need to uplift the masses. And look forward to 2025. Are you happy with what is happening in education today? No. It's sad to say that Barbados will be coming to Barbados again. Where the parents who can afford to send their children to private education, private lessons, who can afford to give their children certain things to take to school, books, iPads, whatever tools that are needed, those children have an advantage. They may very well be in the same physical compound, but emotionally, intellectually, they're miles apart. Because we're reaching the stage in Barbados again, where a select few who have the financial wherewithal and the influences, their children get an advantage that the children of the average working class Barbadian not getting. And that is at the root of a lot of what is creating problems in our wider society today. And you get further. Under the Democratic Party, you know, I think to hear this term was the last decade, and then we buff it all the time because we must get up and remind Barbadians what we did between 2008 and 2018 without the immense economic pressure. We have to stop being negative. Stop saying, oh, this body is doing, this body is strong. No. When you get into the homes of each individual and have a conversation with them. So I listened to the government central bank report, 4% growth in economy, etc. And I then listened to Ryan Waters. And I listened to Ryan Waters again to make sure that I didn't listen to what he said. And I'd rather listen to him now. Because when they go to the shop or the big supermarket, Barbadians from all walks of life are complaining about the high cost of living. Things in Barbados are extremely expensive. Lots of our parents who have to go to work, who have not going to stay home and take care of their children. So we leave the children unattended and they get up to mischief, and then we wonder why we are the way we are as a society. Our schools on the Democratic Party were zones of peace. Places that teachers wanted to go every day and help to groom those young minds. Today they're becoming like war zones. And we are sitting back quiet. That's why I say Democratic Party has so many things to talk about. You heard solutions being put forward to these days. The investment that we have to make in the school system, not just in physical plant, but we reshaping our curriculum, engaging teachers, retraining them, retooling them. We don't want our children to go to school in a very intimidating environment. We must do better. And Democratic Party as it did in the 60s, and again in the 80s, and in 2008, must come to the rescue because we are committed ideologically to uplifting the young people in this country. When you talk about health, for example, another pillar upon which Barbados and the Democratic Party built this society up. There was a time when the mortality rate in Barbados was very high among the working class in Barbados because they did not have access to good public health systems. I served in the Ministry of Health for 5 years, and I tell you this, any individual who has the honor to serve as a cabinet minister should first and foremost be committed to the cause, not just the political party. But if you are not committed to people, do not take the job. Too many of them are there just for the salary or whatever other perks, but certainly have not seen the showing the commitment that we make. They're not resonating. They're not showing the public appreciation, as you say. So under our party, Democrat, their party was built up not just in community. We started, of course, before one time we came around, but also the primary healthcare system, the drug service. The Democrat Party made healthcare accessible. And all they criticized the David Thompson and Frontier Stroke administration about. In 2007, when we launched our national campaign, one of the main things was rescue QEH. Because the public healthcare system had deteriorated to the point that Barbadians felt you go to QEH if you're going to die. Where are we today? It seems to me as though we are full circle back to where we were in 2007. That is unacceptable. Ill health does not care whether you're a D or a D.